to another episode of the pay-per-view recap show. I am your host, the Macho Fan, and I am joined, as always, with my co-host, Joey Irving, and we are joined with a special guest again this week, and it is going to be the one and only Paul Atlas. Paul, how are you doing today?
What's up, boys? How's it going?
It's going well. Joey, I'm sorry I skipped over you, but we have another special guest. We're like on a roll right now, aren't we?
We are. We had Jarrett Holmes, and now we got the general manager of NGTTW himself.
Let's go. And we are going to be recapping all things that happened this weekend wrestling-wise. We had an AEW show, we had a GCW show, we had Summerslam, we had NXT TakeOver, and we're recording this on Tuesday, so we even saw Monday Night Raw. But let's get into the first thing we saw on Friday night, which was AEW Rampage, and I'm going to start it off. CM Punk's back!
Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
I just couldn't believe it when I saw it, but hey, when we saw it, we believed it. Like everyone, like it was just the one thing we all needed. So, Paul, it's your first time on the show. What was your thoughts on a CM Punk return?
It was great to see him back. It was great to see him with a mic in his hand in a ring, interacting with a crowd. Hearing Cult of Personality was, I think something a lot of wrestling fans wanted over the last, almost decade he's been gone. But now we realize it's something that old school wrestling fans really needed. I mean, you could hear, if you play back the audio from the show when he came out, they're in a massive stadium, and you could almost not hear his theme over the sound of the fans. They just started talking on TV, and it was hard to hear the guys that were calling on TV. You couldn't hear Jim Ross talking because the chants were so loud and the CM Punk chants were so loud. But I loved it. I loved everything about it, what they did, how they did it. Everything was great.
Joey?
I enjoyed it. I've even watched the clip back on YouTube like 4 times, and I get goosebumps every time I watch it. Like I know they had to pivot because I know they wanted to do Punk like last or something, but they had to pivot to him being first because the crowd was yelling so loud for him. And it was great. It was a great moment, and it was awesome to see him finally come back after all these years.
Yeah, I saw a lot of the people say like, hey, like, are they going to start the show? Are they going to end the show? We talked about it last week. Is they going to start the show? Is they going to end it with them? Is my grammar going to get better? No, they're going to do it their own way, just like how I do it.
Exactly.
I feel like the same way they had to start the show off with Punk. I'm sure because Tony Khan came out 5 minutes before the start of the show and gave him a little pep talk and said, I am going to deliver whatever you guys thought. And they just started chanting CM Punk from that moment. So like 3 minutes before the show started was a constant CM Punk chant. And so I feel like they just like, get it out there, just get it over with, let that bubble pop and let the rest of the night ride.
Well, if you go back through like some of the things that we're seeing in Twitter, because after he came out on stage and they did that whole thing, you started seeing like clips from like backstage and stuff like that. They did not try to hide him at all. You know what I mean? Like he was interacting with wrestlers behind, in backstage and whatnot. I think one thing was really telling is that he was in ring gear backstage. Like he was ready to be like in a match in ring gear. And obviously there's a lot of rumors out there, we don't know what's true or not, but allegedly he was supposed to end the show. That's why he came out in a sweater and pants, because he wasn't ready to go in the ring. But Tony Khan was like, listen, these people are going to just chant so loud, we're not going to be able to have regular matches until we give them this release. They would have just chanted over top of every match and every segment the whole show. And so allegedly Tony Khan was just like, we have to do it now. And so that's not like the way it was planned initially. That's why his entrance was a little long in the beginning, you know what I mean, like because they had to prepare for it. Sting and Darby Allin weren't in the rafters yet, so they had to go get them and be like, hey, go upstairs, so it's like that's why it was stretched out as long. But I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they started the show with it. It would have watered down the entire show.
I feel like it made sense though with the way that we'll get into the whole show right now, because I feel like the Jurassic Express, oh my goodness, and Private Party match was a little cut short because of the long entrance, but it still was a great match. I still think Jurassic Express is going to be the ones to unseat the Young Bucks. They're just building them up. They had that
100%.
big loss the week before. They won on Rampage. They're going to slowly win this tag tournament. And then hopefully in the next couple pay-per-views, they'll take those titles. However, when the Darby Allin stuff happened, like especially at the end of the show, because I'm going to skip over the Jade Cargill match. They're just pushing her because they need to. But with Daniel Garcia versus John Moxley at the very end. I was saying in my live stream, I was saying all over the place, I was like, are we going to get CM Punk coming out here to attack Darby Allin at the end of the match?
Yeah.
It felt like
They
that's what
absolutely could have.
It felt like
They
I was like, are they
100%
going to
could have
have
done
him
it,
get him to go to
absolutely.
sleep? Because I thought it would have been epic if he would have just ran up, grabbed Darby Allin, gave him to go to sleep, and just stared Sting down. TV cuts to black. Like, what?
Yep.
Like, what's Sting gonna do? Like, literally, like, just in shock. CM Punk standing right there and just gave the GTS to your boy. Like, I felt like that's how the show, especially if we didn't see CM Punk before that. Let's say we had a big tag team match, like a 30-minute, 25-minute tag team match. We had a 5 to 10-minute Jade Cargill match, and then ended the show with that. And then the only thing, we didn't get a CM Punk promo, we get a CM Punk GTS show ends. I felt like they would have had the same style of reaction, but I feel like they did it right. Joey, how do you feel about the promo versus the ending of the show?
The promo was good. Obviously, it's CM Punk's gonna talk like he did. It was great. I feel like they should have had him coming at the end and do something, because after Punk came out, in my opinion, I felt like Rampage was kind of lackluster in a sense. They had good matches, but I just feel like everybody was so high off the CM Punk coming out that it kind of like watered down the rest of Rampage.
Yeah, I agree, but I feel like we all said like they had to either do it ahead, otherwise every match it would have been a CM Punk see a chance. Did anyone buy the CM Punk shirt from Pro Wrestling
I did.
Tees?
I bought it the day after it came out. I bought it Saturday.
Were able to get it. I was in queue on the night of, and the website went down, and then I read the next day that it was the most bought T-shirt, and I was like, well, I can't buy it now because this is going to be the
Saturday
new Young
morning.
Buck shirt, or the new Bullet Club shirt that we see.
Right.
Like
the
Skull and Bones Bullet shirt. It's going to be seen everywhere, and I'm like, I'll wait for the next one. All right.
Oh yeah.
And that was a great AEW Rampage. Is definitely their second highest watched show. It got a 1.219 ranking, I believe, or 1.3 was the CM Punk scale. So
I saw this. I saw this picture on Twitter that Guinness Book of World Records commented on the YouTube page of AEW, saying, "Is this could this go like in the world record books as like the greatest pop in wrestling history?"
It very much would have, because it broke, I think, 100 million views in 24 hours. Like it's literally like the biggest comeback we've seen.
Like it's crazy. We all knew he was coming back, but we all still popped for it whenever he showed up. Like, it was crazy.
I always related it back to the John Moxley. We knew John was leaving WWE to go to AEW. We saw the promo, we saw the trailer, but when he showed up, it's just still like, oh my God, it's actually happening. Speaking of actually happening, we had the Party of the Summer happen this weekend as well, which had its own fair share of surprises we will get into. But we started the show off on the kickoff show with Big E getting his Money in the Bank briefcase back. Any guys comments on the stolen Money in the Briefcase storylines? I'm kind of getting tired of them.
Yeah, Big E getting the contract back was needed. It kind of closed out a very like disjointed story of whatever they're trying to do with Baron Corbin. It kind of shut the door on that side of things a little bit and allows them to go in a different direction with Corbin. It was serviceable. It was a good match to have on the kickoff show, on the pre-show, and moving on. It was a good match to get fans riled up, but help seal up some loose ends so that they could go on to something different.
Yep.
Yeah. Same with, I agree with Paul. Just it was there, I get kind of bored of somebody taking the Money in the Bank briefcase every time storyline. It's just kind of overplayed. But.
Especially when we saw John Cena do it to Finn Balor just over a contract signing. Like, what is it? Finders keepers nowadays? Is that what we're doing in WWE? I mean, I get it. It was progressing this Baron Corbin storyline. I'm not too sure how I feel about this Baron Corbin storyline. I don't know if you guys are keeping up with it on social media, but after this match, he went to the casino. Someone gave him $1. He turned into $100, which then turned into $1,300, which then he got a presidential suite. And now all of a sudden, the guy that wanted $100,000 and we were supposed to feel sad but not sad for is, I don't get they kind of flubbed it. If they would have made us hate or like feel really bad for Corbin, seeing him get on this jackpot streak was going to be nice. But the fact that he's already like, he's still playing that heel role, I don't know how I feel about him necessarily getting all these luxuries unless they're just going to have him go back to broke Corbin again.
As long as we don't get Happy Corbin, I'm okay with it. Like he can be Baron. I don't want Happy Corbin. I want Baron Corbin. Is what I want.
As long as he has like an imaginary dragon on his shoulder, I'm down for it. All right, and now let's get into one of my favorite matches of the weekend. Arcade Bro getting tag team titles over AJ and Omos. I just like their storyline. This two chemistry with RK Bro is going great. You never know if Randy's going to turn on Riddle. And even if it does it matter? Riddle's just still going to be a little happy puppy and be like, okay, let's keep going. It seems like they're keep pushing this narrative, though. We got another rematch on Raw. And so I can see this feud kind of play for a little bit, but I like them as tag team champions. How'd you guys feel about the match?
I loved the match. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought it was great. No, I thought it was great too. The whole story with RK Bro is just like you said, it's just good. It gives me like Team Hell No kind of vibes with Daniel Bryan and Kane, in a way, in a sense. And I just think they're a great tag team. Hopefully, they have a long run with the titles.
Yep. I just hope. I hope it's not a long run. I do think it's going to be Randy Orton because he's got 3 more years left on his deal. He's going to be the one to break Ric Flair's record. I'm going to say it right now. I said it before. He's 14 right now. John Cena didn't win it this week. Oh, sorry, spoiler. Spoiler John
alert.
Cena didn't win it this weekend. Come on, we all saw it coming.
Holy cow, dude.
Man.
Way to go, Ryan. That's like the fast forward the show 20 minutes from now. We'll be talking about that in a minute.
Spoiler alert. I said it, but hey, we all saw it. If you're not on Twitter and you didn't see it, there's another big spoiler coming up that I will save. So that's called a tease. You'll have to wait for the end of the show. But what you won't have to wait for is the Alexa Bliss match because we're going to skip over that. Alexa Bliss quickly beats Eva. And then on Raw, Eva turns on Doudrop. And now we're going to get a Doudrop Eva feud. And it looks like Alexa Bliss is going after the new women's champion, who I will also not give away, Paul. But what I will give away is the new U.S. champion, which is Damien Priest after a slobber knocker match versus Sheamus. This was just hard hitting. These two guys are like literally what Vince McMahon sees as a pro wrestler. And so seeing these two guys in the ring was just produced perfectly, in my opinion.
That is just old school, hard hitting wrestling.
And finally, Damien Priest is champion. I was shocked because after this match, I looked it up. Damien Priest is older than Roman Reigns.
Wow. That's
2
crazy.
years older than Roman Reigns. And I could not believe it. He seems like he's like 30 years old and he's closer to 40 at this point. Anybody have any major takeaways?
He needed to win. He needed to. It had to. The way they've been building Damien Priest is he had to win. Damien Priest is definitely gonna be like you said, Ryan. He's a Vince guy. He's big. He's tall. He's imposing. I wouldn't be surprised in any way, shape, or form if he had the title for quite a while, and then they pushed him into a bigger title scene, perhaps the Raw or SmackDown, the World Heavyweight title, Universal title, whatever you want to call it.
That, we did see on Monday Night Raw that Damien Priest did confront Bobby Lashley, but was also reconfronted by Sheamus and hashtag WWE Re-Raw with all their rematches.
Rematch Raw.
Rematch Raw. And so I really like the fact that Damien Priest is protected. He's one of him and Baron Corbin, oddly enough, are two of the most protected people in WWE. Baron Corbin, not so as much lately, but he still has one of the most protected finisher with the End of Days. And then Damien Priest hasn't lost a singles match since being on the main card. I'll repeat that.
Crazy.
Damien Priest has not lost a singles match since being on the main card. I'm going to repeat that because Keith Lee and Karrion Kross are like 1-3 and 2-4. Like, it doesn't make sense, but the only really embarrassing moment Damien Priest has had was in the handicap match with Johnny Drip Drip and The Miz. But even then, that was a handicap match. I was listening on Fightful last night. Like, it blew my mind that Damien Priest is so protected. But then again, here he is, U.S. champion. So I really hope that they continue to give him everything. But also, Karrion Kross is like 2-4, and Damien Priest is undefeated in solo competition.
Well, and Damien Priest looked really good in that handicap match. You know what I mean? Like it didn't go the way that he wanted it to, but he still looked very good.
Yeah.
He looked very strong in the match.
Damien Priest is looking good, and Karrion Kross is looking like a samurai ninja right now, or something.
I tell you what,
Mortal Kombat!
Man, Jesus.
A samurai warrior. He's a samurai warrior, guys.
I just hate everything about it.
And so but I do like Sheamus. I do like the new Sheamus gimmick and what they're doing with that. I don't like how they keep putting them back in rematches, but we'll take what we can get at this point, I guess. But we will take no, we won't. It's going in the tag team champions now. We're going to the Usos versus the Mysterios, in which we saw the Usos retain their titles. Do you guys think this is the end of the storyline? Is the storyline continuing on? I really don't care to see the Mysterios as tag champions again.
This was a bit of a bathroom match, just like the Alexa Bliss match was, and the Drew McIntyre match was, which we'll talk about shortly. Well, not really. We're going to say it existed, and then we're going to move on. Yep. But it was very much one of those, go get some popcorn, go get a beer, go buy a T-shirt, and come back after this one's over. It was serviceable. We're not going to get an end of the storyline until one of the Mysterios turns on the other, assuming Dominic turns on Rey.
That's a hot take.
You got a hot take right there. I think it's the opposite. I think it's going to be Dominic turning on Rey is going to be it. Yeah. All right. Because that's been speculated for a while that Dominic's going to do a heel turn. And it's just kind of getting him get his ring in skill work up a little bit and giving him some fun with his dad. Because it's just like LeBron James syndrome. I guess not a syndrome, but like you always like when you're an athlete of this caliber of Rey Mysterio, LeBron James, you want to play with your kid, especially if they get to that same caliber. It's not like everyone can go out in the ring and do this, especially with what they can do. And so it's great to see that. I'm all for them as a tag team, but I also want a good story with it too. I don't need them to be champions. They got it once on Father's Day. Great job. Yeah. Let's turn it to picture.
Well, and on the WWE side, putting Dominic in the ring with guys like the Usos, with guys like Baron Corbin, some of these really, really good, like safe workers, that's more experience and more what Dominic needs to further his career than anything. So it makes sense that they're in the ring with these guys because he can learn a lot from them in a very short amount of time.
100%. Joey, any takeaways from this tag team match?
It's like Paul said, it was serviceable. It was a match on the card. It was there. That's about it.
It did what it was intended to do.
Right.
And Paul already alluded to it earlier, but then we had Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre, and this match
existed. Moving on.
It existed.
It's the fact that they're still doing this. I don't understand. They see something in one of those two guys. Which one they see something in? Who knows?
Think this is for both of them. I mean, Drew has put so much work in, and they're letting. It's basically like if the young or the Cody. It's like Cody syndrome in AEW. People say like, "Oh, Cody's just having matches with his friends, or he's not put over." Drew McIntyre's having matches with his friends. Like he's like like this is something that he's kind of built himself up for. Let him give these guys spotlight because he knows he's the draw. Jinder's not the draw, but people kind of care. It's putting Shanky and Veer over. I like those guys. Like,
yeah, I get you. But it was it's a bathroom match.
It is a bathroom match. And speaking of matches that if you went to the bathroom, you probably would have missed it. We had Sasha Banks. Oh my God, what happened? She gets called out of the match. Becky Lynch appears to confront Bianca Belair, and almost before you can blink your eyes, Becky Lynch is the new SmackDown Women's Champion with the man.
This seems like the perfect time to drink.
Yeah, I'll drink to that.
Jeez, I don't think any of us, at least for another 3, 4, 5 weeks, I don't think any of us are going to understand what the point was of this. What I mean? I don't think anybody's going to see it.
I didn't need 3 to 4 weeks. I needed 3 to 4 minutes. It's obvious. And
she's going to be the heel, and she has to destroy the top babyface.
Right, but you destroy everything that you've done
No,
to
not
one
at
of your
all.
baby faces for like
You get more
months.
sympathy. You get
No,
more
no,
sympathy
no.
with her.
Oh, I get it, but it's you're almost like illegitimizing her ability to challenge for the title again.
No, but it's absolutely not, because Bianca Belair, as soon as the match was over, she was on Instinct Culture with Denise Salcedo, and she was saying like, "I want my rematch." Like, this shocked me. Like, I was stunned. I thought I was gonna have like a big match. She caught me by surprise. This was the the only reason I can agree with this ending. At first, I was mad. I was upset. I was like, "This is Kofi 2.0. Why are they putting their stars that they build up like this in this predicament?" But this isn't Kofi 2.0, because this Becky Lynch is not Brock Lesnar. Becky Lynch doesn't show up once a month. Becky Lynch is going to be there every week, and Bianca Belair is going to feud with her every week. We're going to get probably a best 2 out of 3 falls match out of these two girls. It's going to be cage matches, street fights. They're going to put on a clinic for from now probably till Rumble or Mania. And then Bianca is going to get another WrestleMania moment. And so, like, yes, this is the only way you were going to get people to boo Becky Lynch. And that's the only reason they do it. And that's why Vince is still a genius.
I mean, if you want Becky to be that heel that all the fans hate that they love, that's a great way to do it. You know what I mean? Because Becky's going to be one of those people that even as a heel, she's going to get big pops from the crowd.
The man was supposed to be a heel.
The crowd, oh, I get it. I 100% get it. But again, like, she was so big with the crowd. It was so hard for her to play that heel role. And I think even again this time, no matter what you do with her, she's going to have fan support all the way through.
Yeah, and I feel like and I still support the Becky Lynch character, but I will boo her.
Oh yeah,
because this, like, I mean, I hope she comes out and just starts berating the WWE universe and kind of just starts going like, not after like you guys don't support me, like she tried to do that first time, but just like go like, I don't even need you guys. I dropped the belt, came back and picked it up again. Like, screw the WWE universe, screw all you guys. I'm the best. Like, I'm the man. You can call me daddy. And then bam, like it would get like a pop. Well, probably the "Call Me Daddy" line would probably get too over.
If on Friday night, if they open up SmackDown and they hit Bianca Belair's music and her opening, like all her pyro hits and everything, and then Becky walks out and Becky cuts a promo on Bianca, seal the deal.
Yeah, I'll
seal the deal.
Then we're all going to be like, okay, I get it, and this is going to be a great feud.
Exactly. It'll make the point perfectly clear. You know what I mean? It'll make the point perfectly clear.
And speaking of making the point perfectly clear, we know where the point is clear in where Vince lies with how he likes to see the Raw Women's Champion. And we see Charlotte Flair win the Raw Women's Champion.
I'm running out of stuff to drink.
I called this from the get-go. I saw it happening with the way they're going with the Ric Flair stuff, with the way they're going with the most crowned champion. I could also see Charlotte Flair going back and forth, because she's got, maybe another 10, 15 years left to wrestle in. So she'll easily break her dad's record. I hate that Rhea is kind of like put in this match as just like a filler, because she's just so strong, so powerful. Some of those moves that she's able to do, it just looks so good, and she matches so well with Charlotte. Nikki Ash kind of felt like the oddball in this match, and I that's one of the things I just don't feel with this character gimmick. Joey, how did you feel about the Charlotte Flair win, and like anything that stood out to you?
Charlotte, it was obvious Charlotte was going to win. Can Nikki Ash just go back to Nikki Cross, please? Like, I am not a fan of the superhero gimmick she's doing. I just don't like it.
How do they change it now, though? That's the thing. Is like you can't now.
You can't just ignore the fact that it exists. You've committed. It's just
you can't
commit all the way.
Typical WWE booking. They're going to put Charlotte over 9 times out of 10. It's just how it is.
Yep.
I get the feeling we're about to see them play hot potato with the women's title. I have a feeling we're going to see, until the WWE can figure out who they feel comfortable pinning against who, and who potentially in NXT can move up to the main roster and be kind of pushed in that title picture. I feel like you're going to see, just to keep the women's title like relevant to a degree, you're going to see that title, I would say, change hands a minimum of 4 times between now and the end of the year. It's going to bounce around because they're going to find pairings that they like for next year.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I have heard rumors that Dakota Kai has been wrestling on dark matches.
Yep.
And then also, I see a lot of turnover, maybe more turnover happening in the WWE Women's Division. Is Shayna Baszler going to get released?
I would not in the least bit be surprised. I don't want to see Shayna Baszler get it. Yeah.
She has been pinned by almost everybody on the roster at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. She goes from being like dominating the women's elimination chamber to getting pinned by Becky Lynch at WrestleMania to now this. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah. I don't. The whole sequence with the doll never got finished. She's still now she's getting pinned by Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley. Nia Jax is just standing off in the corner, like, just don't hurt anybody. Like, I don't know. Like,
I really feel like that Raw has figured out, or wrestling has figured out, WWE in general has figured out that their strengths in the women's division lies in NXT and not in the main roster, or at least the few people that they've called up from
because
NXT.
Now they're like basically making NXT WWE Junior with how they're going to be treating that. They're going back to pre-tape shows. What's going to happen with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa? We haven't seen them in a minute. I know rumors we're going to see some people come back tonight, but I mean, I don't see like half of this roster actually sticking around with the new mentality they're trying to build.
I feel like some of them most certainly will, because I feel like some of them are almost in a way guaranteed that they're going to be pushed into a title picture on one of the 2 shows, because they feel like the people surrounding those title pictures shouldn't be surrounding those title pictures right now. So like, you're going to see Tegan Nox, Dakota Kai, Shotzi, who's kind of been involved but not really, some of these people who, were very successful in NXT. You're going to see a lot of the Raw women's talent and the SmackDown's women's talent that they don't feel like fits anymore. Nia's probably going to go. Shayna's probably going to go. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a few more cuts. We saw somebody like Natalya take a bit of a back seat, maybe not leave the company, but not be a full-time competitor. You know what I mean? See people like Naomi go to more of a part-time like competition role, and that gives space for some of these NXT talents to move up to the main roster and immediately impact it somewhere. I think you saw it on which we'll talk about NXT here in a little bit. The NXT, the UK women's title. Well, I don't want to spoil anything. We'll talk about that a little bit.
We will be talking about that in a little bit. No spoilers.
It's a teaser. It's a teaser. All right.
Speaking of teases, if you guys are interested in joining our Discord, please do join our Discord. We talk all this wrestling. We get all our scoops here. We also have our promo battle league, which takes place there. You can check it out in this link I am pointing to right above my head, and we're going to see a commercial from that right now. So stay tuned, and we will be back to cover the rest of SummerSlam. We still got a lot more to cover. We got Rollins versus Edge. We got Bobby versus Goldberg, and we got Roman versus Cena with a special surprise. Did we get someone show up at the end? And not to mention, we're still going to talk NXT TakeOver. So we're going to see you guys shortly. So stay tuned for this 30-second advertisement. Later.
The next generation of TikTok wrestling is here.
If you enjoy professional wrestling,
you like taking part or watching promo battles,
or you're just in need of a friend
in this weird and difficult time,
then the NGTTWF Discord server is the place for you.
We might be known for our promo battle league,
but that's not all we are. We are an all-inclusive community. We're sports fans. We are gamers.
And we're role players.
We are content creators.
But most importantly,
we are family.
We are NGTTWF.
NGTTWF. NGTTWF.
We are NGTTWF.
Join the server.
Be a part of the family.
Trust me, it's a lot of fun.
And thank you guys for joining us back for part 2 of our wild SummerSlam weekend spectacular recap with so many spoilers that have already happened, but we're still got a few more to get to. And speaking of what could be considered match of the year, we're going with Edge versus Seth Rollins in a brutal match that didn't even have bloodshed, but man, this match was just nostalgic. It brought back old wrestling feels, and I mean, maybe it was just because of the Brood entrance, but man, from the get-go, this match was just it, in my opinion. Stole the show.
Oh yeah, 100%. For a split second, and not that I want to play predictive or anything like that, but when we saw Seth get covered in the black blood goo, right before the week before the pay-per-view, I was like, is he gonna do a Brood thing? Because that's definitely a Brood thing
for sure.
And then when the Brood music hit and came, I like that not only did he use the Brood music, but he got halfway down the ramp and he was just like, no, forget that, I'm freaking Edge. Exactly, you know what I mean? And everything blacked out, and then he went to his real entrance, was his current entrance, I should say. It was the way he entered was phenomenal. The match back and forth was so good. Those two guys independently are great at kind of ring generaling matches. They're the both of them are so good at controlling the pace and the flow of a match with somebody else. So you put two people like that in the ring, just every time they set in the ring, it's gonna be gold.
Right, Joey?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. The Brood theme song brought back so many memories, and it's just a goosebump feel. I really enjoyed it. And then he had the Ring of Fire that he came out of and all that. His wrestling gear was on point too. He had the red wrestling gear that was nice. But definitely, I would say match of the night for sure, in my opinion, for SummerSlam was Seth Rollins and Edge.
Yeah,
match of the night, one of the matches of the year. That's got match of the year contendership written all over it.
Especially with the ending image of Edge just standing over Rollins. I definitely don't see this feud necessarily ending, but man, no. Edge is on a tear right now.
This is one of those feuds that couldn't end though, and fans would be happy about it. You know what I mean? It's not one of those that they're going to drag out. If we get to see this again down the road at Royal Rumble, fans are going to be just as excited about it then as they are about it today.
I'm pretty sure they were chanting "Fight forever, fight forever." And there was a match that literally felt like it went on forever. It was actually one of their longest matches in history. Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley for the universe. This isn't even the Universal title. That's the WWE
Championship.
Raw is the B show now. They don't even have the Universal. But yeah, Bobby Lashley retains his Universal again. Retains his WWE Championship after defeating Goldberg and his son after giving his son the Hurt Lock accidentally. I mean, I don't know necessarily why that necessarily had to matter. I guess because Gage is 15 years old. How can you attack a son? But it was clear and apparent his son attacked him. I don't know why they're playing
self-defense.
It never was answered on Raw on Monday night. It kind of was well, he defended himself. It's why bring that up if that's not going to be a thing? If he's not going to get arrested for it? I mean, that would have been a cool angle. Hey, they've done arrest angles for stuff much stupider. I mean,
Brian, I'm gonna enjoy my drink. If you can let me know when we're back to recording about the podcast, that'd be great.
All right, yeah. Perfect.
I just wasn't a fan of the match.
Christ.
It was there. I feel like it served its purpose, and they're gonna do it again, probably at Crown Jewel or something. It's just tired of seeing Goldberg.
Match.
I'm tired of seeing Goldberg on my screen. He needs to go away.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's just kind of putting Bobby Lashley as the new Legends killer, but. Legends we don't need to see anymore.
I think Goldberg's walk to the ring lasted longer than the match.
Oh, actually, no. It was Goldberg's longest match. 20
minutes.
There wasn't 20 minutes. I think it was only 8 minutes and 15 seconds or something like that.
But with entrances, the whole segment from beginning to end with entrances and everything, I think it was 20 minutes.
From bell to bell, it was 8 minutes or 9 minutes and something, which his longest match before that was, I think, the Undertaker match at 1:05. So, hey.
Yeah. Minute 5.
But yeah. So,
poor guy was winded.
Concussed, winded, and can't see straight, and not seeing is the highlight of this next match, which was the main event of the evening. The Universal Champion, the Tribal Chief, the Acknowledged One. Does he retain? I already gave you guys the hint. He obviously retained over John Cena. John Cena, I thought, should have won this championship. Give him the 17th. He deserves it. He's been there. He does this. This is what he needed, but hey, it's whatever. Roman Reigns did retain in a great match. It wasn't like it was a bad match. It was a lot better than I expected. It wasn't the 6 moves of doom. It wasn't a bunch of super punches and anything like that, even though we got our fair share.
I don't think Cena really puts on bad matches, you know? I think if you're going to see Cena, the match isn't going to be like, sometimes the matches aren't going to be great. They're never going to be bad, or they're never even going to be average. You know, you put him in that spot
so well.
But as we can kind of rotate to here, kind of segue action, the match didn't get talked about as much as the aftermath of said match.
And that aftermath was the return of the Beast Incarnate, the Butcher of Canada, the ponytailed and bearded one now. Joey, how did you feel about Brock Lesnar returning at the end of SummerSlam?
To say that I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't pop for it or mark for it, because it's Brock Lesnar. I didn't expect him to show up at the end of SummerSlam, but it's great. It's good. It's gonna be interesting to see him play a good guy for once in a while. It's been a bit since he was a good guy, and not having Paul Heyman by his side is gonna be very intriguing as well.
I'm excited to see the Paul Heyman on a pole match.
I did see. I saw something. It was a graphic. It said Brock Lesnar versus Paul Heyman for custody of Paul Heyman.
Yeah, I see that. I can easily see that. But I feel like it was weird cheering for Brock. I'm not gonna lie, but like we always cheer for him because of the Legends pop. But like oh my god, like I actually want him to beat Roman. Like if you would have told Vince in 2016 that this is going to be the WrestleMania of the next in Houston next year or Dallas, Vince would probably be like, oh, that's my dream. He probably would have had that like mind-blowing moment and probably would have died right there. Like it's going to be Roman versus Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar's the baby face. Paul Heyman's with Roman. What kind of backwards world do we live in?
Somebody posted something on Twitter that was like, name the last time Brock Lesnar played a baby face and fought like the top heel in the company. And then at the end of the tweet, it's like, don't worry, I'll wait. You know, because nobody wants to think back that far, like to like old school SmackDown Brock Lesnar.
I had a PlayStation
where he was like
2.
I just want to backtrack to the match itself. I really think the match itself is probably the second match of the night behind Roman or behind Edge and Seth. Like that was a great match all around.
100%.
I definitely thought they did a great job.
I definitely thought Cena had him after that top rope attitude adjustment. I thought for sure Cena would have won it after that, but
the fact that they've the problem with Cena's finishing move is it's so watered down at this point.
Yeah.
It just doesn't get, you have to hit it 500 times for it to matter.
Yep.
But in a low key kind of way, Roman Reigns kind of like had his way with Cena in a way. Like he kind of dominated the match, realistically.
And I feel well, and I see why, because Cena was just trying to do the quick roll ups, play to the 1, 2, 3. I only need 3 seconds. It kind of gives Cena because he's leaving now. He has like 4 or 5 movies coming out in the next year, so he's obviously not going to stick around. We kind of knew that from the get-go. And so it kind of leaves the door open for him to come back and be like, oh, at that time I was just here for a month. Now I'm here for a year. Let me, like, if he did want to do a comeback.
They could definitely see they definitely gave Cena spots in that match. It wasn't like it was just overly aggressively one-sided. There was definitely spots where even at the end of the match, like what Joey was saying, when that attitude adjustment came off the top ropes, like
especially
some people legitimately thought like dominated, that was over.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
It was like it's built like a babyface win.
Yeah. But the attitude adjustment is the new F5. You got to be hit with 7 of them in order to actually take the pin.
Yeah, and then that ended the night of SummerSlam. It was fun. It was fantastic. But then on Sunday, the next day, we had NXT TakeOver 36, which only had, I think, 5, maybe 6 matches on the card.
5.
Five
It was
matches
a
on the
5-match
card. But still kind of like stole the weekend, like in a little bit of the sense, because there were some major matches. And the main one I want to talk about is my candidate for right now, match of the year, Walter versus Ilya Dragunov. Like,
absolutely.
wow.
So great.
It was so crazy from at least a wrestling fan standpoint to get like you got Edge versus Seth at SummerSlam and you were like, man, that match had to be match of the year. And then they gave us Ilya versus Walter, and then we were like, that has to be match. You know, it's like we instantly went back into the match of the year. Those guys, there are no two harder hitting guys. Like if you saw Ilya Dragunov's like chest and neck area after that match, dude. He feels that today. Like that, he's still feeling that today. Like it was brutal. And the fact that like they I think the bigger thing here is, and we've touched on this briefly just in Discord, the fact that Walter tapped out. The man has had the title
quickly. Well, not quickly, but like days. As soon as Ilya put that lock in, like it looks so realistic. Like, oh my god, like this was the.
Well, he literally like picked him up. Like he literally picked him up. He was off the ground.
It's
you know
crazy.
What I mean?
Yeah.
But to think about, like Walter's had that title for almost 1,000 days.
800.
I think it was like almost 1,000 days. Like, I mean,
he was champ for a while.
Title reigns, you know what I mean? And then for him to not only like lose, but lose in that kind of a fashion, to basically like be forced to give up. That shows you what kind of stock that the WWE and guys like Triple H put in Ilya Dragunov, like as a wrestler, how they feel about him.
I think the real question now is, do we see Walter confront Samoa Joe when we get Walter versus Joe for the NXT Championship?
100%.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I think
rumors are he flew back home.
Oh, did he?
That wouldn't surprise me, because the other thing you have to be thinking about is that Walter loved being the UK champion because Walter loved competing in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's home for him. You know what I mean? So if Walter leaving gives me vibes of NXT UK is coming back to like a travel schedule.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? And
I feel like that's a more logical.
Back to that, yeah. If they go back to like NXT UK being a regular weekly thing, I mean, if trust me, if fans get Dragunov, Walter, 3 now at this point, we're going to be very happy about it either way.
Yeah, but again, though, with the new NXT's way they're setting up, I don't know, because we also did get a surprise debut at NXT TakeOver with Kylie Ray confronting Raquel Gonzalez after the Dakota Kai victory, or after Raquel defeated Dakota Kai, I should say.
Yeah.
But so like, because if Kylie Ray like out of NXT UK, I feel like that's a major shot to NXT UK. She is like, her and Walter are what they have on their roster that makes it worth a watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, she's been just as dominant as Walter's been.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say this real quick. Apart from the 3 matches that was on NXT that were like the good matches, I feel like the rest of it was kind of lackluster in my opinion. Like I felt like the only 3 good matches was Walter, Adam Cole, and O'Reilly, and Samoa Joe and Cross.
Yeah, for sure.
I just didn't feel TakeOver 36 is one of the better ones for sure. But I mean, it still was good though. Like it still was good.
I mean, the thing with TakeOver was that the matches that mattered were so impactful. You know what I mean? Like those 3 major matches. Yeah, it was 3 of the only 5 matches we really like cared about. But you got to think about there was only 5 matches to begin with, and 3 of the 5 piqued your interest. That's what I'm saying. Like it's like you can't. That's a hell of a show if you're gonna have 5 matches and 3 of them we want to talk about. You know what I mean? Like,
because I honestly didn't mind seeing Cameron Grimes go over winning the $1 Million Championship.
Oh, that was a good match too. I forgot about
that. Smolder. I keep saying that because the TikTok
LA Knight,
LA Knight, and then we had Raquel defeat Dakota Kai. Walter got choked out or tapped out by Ilya. And then another match we want to talk about, which is going to be a contract battle for, I think, both of these guys. Yeah. Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. Adam Cole is still under contract for a few more days until August 27th. Can't sign anywhere else until then. WWE is going to throw him another contract. He was defeated by Kyle O'Reilly in the 2 out of 3 falls match, played the injury angle. Is Adam Cole going to AEW or are they both going to AEW?
I think Adam Cole definitely is, and this is like a little thing I saw. He did Britt Baker's lockjaw finisher on Kyle O'Reilly.
Britt Baker did his brain buster last week on Rampage. Baker did the brain buster. Yep.
I think he's going to AEW. It's pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered at this point. I don't know if they both do, but I think Adam Cole definitely does.
All right, and then the final match we really need to talk about: Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross. I loved the match. But man, Karrion Kross, I feel so bad for you, dude.
I'm gonna call Karrion Kross the American Ninja Warrior from now on.
I'm gonna call Karrion Kross Baron Corbin from now on. Dude.
Baron Corbin.
And one of the major points to make about the Karrion Corbin. One of the major points to make about the Karrion Corbin Samoa Joe match is the last time Samoa Joe used the Muscle Buster. He essentially ended somebody's career, Tyson Kidd's career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So he's done it again.
That's I'm just.
That's a hot take, Paul.
Saying,
that's a hot take.
That's a real hot take.
That's a hot take.
He didn't injure Karrion Kross.
But
the Muscle Buster ends the Muscle Buster ends careers. All right?
That's like saying Goldberg ended Bret Hart's career. Calm down, Paul. That's like saying calm down.
No, but realistically, how can let's just think about this out loud. How can the WWE recover what they've done to Karrion Kross?
It's just
other
than
shove him into the world title picture and have him win and go back to being dominant again. And then if they do that, does that illegitimize every Jeff Hardy roll-up he's taken to that point?
No, just give him Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy will beat him in a minute 45. It's fine.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think Karrion Kross will be saved. The crowd still is going. Well, I don't know, man. They're so silent for him. So I mean,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. That match was that people screamed for Joe. Did you see Karrion Kross's entrance during that match?
Did you see after the match they chanted Hardy?
They literally, they literally just essentially booed him out of the arena. They've destroyed everything they had with Karrion Kross. Literally in the matter of 5 weeks, they took a guy. And how dominant was Karrion Kross as NXT champion? Just think about how powerful he was as NXT champion. Nobody could freaking touch him. And then you brought him to the main roster.
And think about any other NXT superstar that looks at I want to be NXT champion, and then you see people like Karrion Kross, like Andrade, like Baron Corbin. It was wow, is that really
now we got those Shayna Baszler into the mix too. I mean, she's women's champion.
Asuka,
Asuka, yeah.
Really, Asuka. You could look like a superstar here, and but move to the main roster, and in 5 weeks. You're not even selling a dime. You're sitting catering.
Vince and the rest of the creative team in WWE is proving to us time and time again that they have their list of people that they're fans of, and then the rest of you don't matter.
Exactly.
You're here to enhance the people that are important to them.
And speaking
of
you're either on the list or not. Important to us. We want to hear from you guys, so please again join our Discord server. Comment on this video below. Let us know what you guys thought about SummerSlam, about Rampage, about NXT TakeOver, about Dynamite, about whatever. Tell me what favorite foods you like. I'll read it. I might not comment back, but I will like it. If it's something gross, I'm not S-Car going there. But
Raising Cane's.
We are going to be rocking with the Raising Cane's, though. Hey, you want some chicken today? I always do. But I want to hear from you as well. And thank you guys for joining me. I was joined, as always, by the infamous Joey Irving. And for the first time, Paul Atlas. So, guys, I appreciate you guys for being on the podcast with me, talking your thoughts about the whole weekend of wrestling we had. We're going to do it again soon. All Out's in a couple weeks. I'm going to start probably doing a weekly show because Dynamite is getting good. So I'm excited.
We got to talk about CM Punk versus Darby Allin in a couple weeks. That's going to be bananas.
We're going to talk about CM Punk versus a lot of people, which I can't believe I'm saying. But hey, we're going to get to that. As for now, thank you guys for joining us. We will see you guys next time.